I'm going to go ahead and just assume that if you're watching this video, you're already selling high ticket and you want to learn how to maybe make the transition into a low ticket business. So you probably are not a beginner, you're more advanced, you were not born yesterday, you get the sales process, you get the, you're not a basic beginner, you know what's going on. You're just here because you want to learn how to actually sell low ticket products. And so, which is kind of cool because what that means is we can actually focus on transitioning your business model to a low ticket. Or maybe you're at, I'm not sure if I want to add in low ticket, but this video will kind of help me decide. And so I'm just going to assume that you know what you're doing. I'm going to assume that you you got the basics down, and we're just going to get right into the how do I start selling low ticket products when I've only ever sold high ticket offers? And there's a lot that goes into this. And just so you know, credibility wise, so I know what I'm talking about. I would sell $72,000 high ticket offers. I sold $24,000 offers. I sold $10,000. I have a very wide range of experience in selling higher ticket products. And I've done that for much longer actually than I have done low ticket. So just so you know kind of where my background is and where I'm coming from, I intimately understand both the pros and the cons of a high ticket business model. So I'm going to put my phone in do not disturb it just so it doesn't, I'm in a couple of groups and I feel like they just talk nonstop. So what I want to do first is kind of talk you through your process. So what it looks like for you now, because we're going to compare it to what it looks like to run and scale a low ticket business model. So you start off with a lead and then you have to nurture the lead. And then you have to have some kind of sales call or, it could be some kind of conversion mechanism. So it could be a webinar, could be selling over DMs, like those $72,000 packages that I used to sell. I sold those over the DM, like in sell by chat. But however it works, there's got to be some sort of higher touch point, more intimate touch point to get the sale. And then you have enrollment, right? You sign up the customer. And then because you are a high ticket model, you also have delivery. Now, if you're a more scaled business, maybe your team members do the delivery, but essentially you have a lead, the lead gets nurtured, eventually they get on a sales call, then you enroll them, and then you have delivery. That is like the bird's eye view of a low ticket or a high ticket business. The low ticket business model looks very different. It's just traffic and enrollment. And because it's a low ticket thing, you don't really have any delivery. So that's essentially it. However, do not make the mistake of thinking, okay, all I have to do is traffic and enrollment, super easy. It's all equally hard. As someone that's done both, it's all equally hard, meaning all of the, let's just say, quote unquote, effort that gets you high ticket stuff just gets compressed into this one here. So it's like that level of effort, that level of intentionality, it all gets compressed into the getting traffic. And we're going to talk about that, but I don't want you to ever make the decision to do low ticket because you're looking for an easier way to do things. It's much more simple. It's much more scalable. I really do think low ticket businesses are much more intrinsically scalable. But if you're lazy, and you already know this because you're not a beginner, but if you're lazy, you're not going to see results with this. Let me just see if I can fix my focus here because it's driving me up the wall. I have someone coming later this month to get the focusing. What it does is it focuses on the back of the heads on the back, and it makes my head fuzzy. Drives me crazy. So with that being said, you are going to have to, if you want to make the low ticket business model work, you're going to have to go all in and mentally and energetically commit. Now, this doesn't mean you have to immediately stop selling high ticket and start only selling low ticket. What it does mean is that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to turn the iPad off for a minute because we don't need the iPod right now. We will need it in a minute. What it will mean is that, you'll have to honor your contracts. For example, if you have 300 high ticket clients who you have contracts, that you should honor those. That's what I did. I think that's the honorable thing to do. You don't want to lose all of your revenue immediately. And so it's just to immediately stop selling high ticket when that's been your fundamental business level for a very long time feels very foolish. But mentally and energetically, I don't think you can make both business models work. I really don't see a hybrid working well, especially if you're making less than $1 million. So if you're making more than $1 million a year, you know enough to decide that. It's up to you. If you're making more than $1 million a year and you want to do high and low ticket, go for it. But if you are making less than $1 million a year, I think that you should trust me and either do high ticket or do low ticket. So if at the end of this, you're like, you know what, low ticket is not for me, I'm going to focus on what I know best. I'm going to do high ticket. Amazing. I think that that's infinitely more scalable than both. And so in order of scalability, in my opinion, as someone having done all three, hybrid, meaning high ticket and low ticket, is the least scalable. High ticket is slightly more scalable. Low ticket, in my opinion, is extremely scalable. It's because of the simplicity. In understanding that like you really only have to solve one problem, which is getting more traffic. Whereas with a high ticket business, you have to solve whatever that was, like 6 problems. And just easier to do that, right? It's easier to solve one problem than it is to solve 6 problems, just more simple. So once you kind of, okay, I'm going to take a year. Let's just say you take a year to, if you do decide to fully pivot, I'm going to take a full year to pivot. So in the interim, you will be selling high and low ticket, but it's with the intention of gradually tapering it all off and only doing low ticket. So let's say you've done all that. You understand, you're all in. Maria, I hate low ticket. I hate high ticket. I can't stand the delivery. The customers are driving me up a wall. The Zoom calls are driving me insane. I can't handle the objections anymore. It's just pulling teeth to make these high ticket sales. F it. I cannot stand this anymore. I want a new business model. What do? This is where I come in. The first thing that you have to do is understand that the new game you are playing is volume. You are playing the volume game in a way you've never played the volume game before when you were doing high ticket. So it's a totally new way of thinking, because if we pull up the iPad again, let's do that. If we pull up the iPad again, before you were thinking, okay, I need to, it's almost like it's very high touch, right? You're thinking, okay, so I have this lead, right? How do I nurture them? Well, I can start making content that pre-answers objections, right? So you start to really think about like, how am I going to nurture all these people? Maybe you have a list in your head of all the people that, let me just see if I can get this focus again. Sorry, guys. Maybe you have a list of all the leads that you kind of know are really close. So you make a point to comment on their Instagram stuff. Maybe you have people that you make a point to like interact and touch with. These are like high touch point nurturings, right? Your content is different. Your messaging is different. Everything you do is different when you're nurturing a smaller number of leads for a high ticket offer. So let's say you've nurtured them. Now you got to convert them. So are you going to convert them via a webinar? In which case you got to make a webinar. Is it going to be a live webinar? In which case it's the time requirement. Is it going to be an automated webinar? In which case you got to get the tech right and kind of balance that fine line of automated, pretending it's not automated. All of that kind of feels kind of weird. Or if it's sell by chat and you're closing them in the DMs, you got to train yourself to do it. You got to learn how to handle objections for that. You got to keep track of all the conversations. You got to drum up, new people to be having conversations with. Some of the problems you will have, by the way, with low ticket, but we'll go into that. Again, then let's just say you manage to enroll them. What if you put them on a payment plan? What if they default halfway through, right? That's a big thing that people don't talk about, is that people defaulting on their payment plans or high ticket payment plans. You might get a sale for $5,000. But if you only take $1,000 and they default after the first month, you only made $1,000. So you reported $5,000 in sales, but you really only kept $1,000. If you're lucky, they stay for 3 months and you got $3,000 out of them, but you still didn't get the $5,000 you're hoping to get. So again, like I know all these problems super intimately because this was my bread and butter for like 7 years. Let's just say you enroll them and it's perfect. Everything goes really well. Then you got to deliver. You have a client who paid you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $72,000. What do you think their expectations are at something this high? If you're a good person with integrity, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to deliver to those people because they paid you a massive, think about like if someone who makes $60,000 paid you $10,000, they paid you 1/6 of their entire annual salary. What are you doing to deliver on that value? If you're a good person, which most of you watching this are, it's a lot of pressure. So that is your train of thought when you're doing high ticket. When you're doing low ticket, your only thought process is traffic. But I promise you, all the bandwidth that you spent on each one of these things will be taken up and consumed by this, because the only way a low ticket business works is if you have a ton of traffic, which you can do. I will say, someone having done both, I'd much prefer to solve one traffic problem than 6 other problems. It's a much nicer business model, in my opinion. and it's hands off, right? Because then you just enroll. It's traffic, then it's the sale. That's it. So I don't have to worry about like assuming my product is good, obviously, but like once they're enrolled, I don't have to do anything. They automatically get emailed the course logins. Bam, I'm done. It's beautiful. And that's why I've been able to scale is because all of my power, not to like stroke my own ego, but all of my powerful brain power, which I am a good marketer. Like I have a massive amount of brain power as it relates to marketing. It's all going towards this one thing. So you are in the volume game and you got to start thinking in terms of volume. That's the first thing. Second thing that I want to show you is that you need to have an upsell funnel. So you probably know what an upsell funnel is, but just to make sure, really, what is this? 2:00. I don't know why my alarm is going off. Do you ever have that happen where like you set an alarm for something and you have no earthly clue what it's for? I have no idea what that's for. So you have to have an upsell funnel, and an upsell funnel looks something like this, right? Maybe your first product is $97. You have an order bump, which is like the immediate next product, maybe for $197. Then you have a, let's just say, I don't know, like let's just say a $100 thing, a $50 thing, and a $50 thing, right? Just something like that. If you've purchased any of my products, you've been in an upsell funnel. I get a ton of pushback whenever I tell people you have to have an upsell funnel. Like you just have to have, you will not scale profitably if you don't have an upsell funnel. And people are like, oh, but I get so annoyed when I'm in those funnels. I don't like to have those. I was trying to get my mom to do an upsell funnel for a product that she sells, and I finally convinced her to do it. But she was like, people get so annoyed. I'm like, well, they do it if you do it wrong and if you do too many. But my people buy my upsells and they are grateful for the extra products. And you don't have to be obnoxious about it, but you need to have an upsell funnel. And the upsell funnel, just so you know, here's a pro tip, give it to you for free. Upsell funnel total. So if someone orders all of the stuff, right, they get all, let's just say you have 4 upsells and they get everything, the upsell funnel total from the product to the end should be around $700 to $900. That's kind of what we're doing. That might go up in the future, but for me, based on my experience right now, we're doing $700 to $900. So if you have a customer that goes through and buys everything, your order total is $700, $800, $900. Now, you may know this, but like one of the products we sell over and over and over again is 24 courses for $24. If you're in my world, you probably have seen that. So we have $24 is the initial order. When someone buys all of the stuff, which they frequently do, the order total is something like $405. So we more than 10x, we like 20x essentially the initial order. All the upsells added 20 times the profit. And we are profitable. So this is just like a little ads thing, which by the way, we'll talk about ads in a minute. If we have a $24 order, we have a 3x ROAS, which means we spent $8, give or take, right? Every campaign is a little different, but let's just say it cost us $8 and we made $405. This is how I'm making $400,000 a month. Again, this is an example. It's not always like this, but I want you to kind of get an understanding of what this is going to look like for you. You might see a $24 thing I'm selling and not have access to this back-end information, this behind-the-scenes information. You might see a $24 order and be like, how in the world can Maria be running a $5 million business selling $24 products? Then you go in your calculator and you put, okay, so if Maria is making $5 million a year and then she's charging $24 for a thing, that means she has to sell 208,000 copies of that. If you divide that by 12, wow, she sells 17,361 new customers a month. That's impossible. I'm not selling 17,000 customers, like enrolling 17,000 new customers a month. It's like closer to like 2,000. It's because I have, if that, sometimes it's like 1,000. I would say like 1,000 to 2,000 a month. And it's happening because I have these upsell funnels. Got to have an upsell funnel. And like I said earlier, I sound like reading off my notes. A lot of your time that was spent in the high touch stuff with this high ticket. So a lot of the time that was spending on all of this stuff is now focusing solely on traffic. And I want to tell you how you're going to get traffic because I think that's going to be really helpful. You're going to get traffic. Let me just erase this. Oh boy. You're going to get traffic in two different ways. You're going to get traffic organically. Let's just say it a different way, probably Reels. If you're just like wanting to get started with massive amounts of traffic, highly recommend Reels for that. And then you're going to get traffic via ads. You got to do ads. Ads are not complicated. We have ads that are like, we teach these two different strategies that we teach now. One is a $5 a day strategy, and we got even better. And now we're teaching a $3 a day strategy. Don't make the mistake that I did where I waited so long to run ads because I thought I was going to have to spend $30,000 just to get started. I thought that I was going to lose money immediately right away. Like, you are way more in control of your ads journey than you think. And don't let all the big dogs take your customers, because that's essentially what you're doing is you're saying, hey, all of you guys who are like let's just use a $3 a day ad strategy, for example. It takes 30 minutes to set up. Rose timed it. For us and for other customers, she timed it. It takes 30 minutes to set up. You're letting someone else who's running that $3 a day strategy that took the 30 minutes to sit down and build it, you're letting them have your customers. That's just like, that's it. And so in my opinion, just run the ads and we'll show you how. Like, it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. We really try to make it accessible because we truly believe that ads are for everyone. Everyone should be running ads. It doesn't matter if you're just getting started, you should be running ads. It doesn't matter if you've mastered organic. Like, I've mastered organic. I have hundreds of thousands of followers on all the, like, not all the platforms, but all the platforms I've ever tried to grow. I've grown to hundreds of thousands of followers, subscribers, etc. Except for YouTube, actually. YouTube's the one I'm building now. So as of the time of filming this video, I have like 37,000 subscribers. So we're getting there. Best believe when I get my silver plaque, it's going to be right there on my wall. Best believe that's going to be happening. But all of that to say, everyone should be running ads. It doesn't matter your experience level, whether you're very far advanced or you're just getting started, you need to be running ads. You're losing so much money. It doesn't make any sense for you to not. And it's not hard. So you don't really have any excuses. There's two ways you can do this. You can do it, like I said, you can do it with ads. You could also do it organically. My advice, if you choose to do it organically, is to do it one platform at a time. If you're in that like in between intermediate level, you're probably making a really classic mistake, which is posting on several platforms and repurposing on several platforms because your brain thinks that that's more efficient. It's not. All you're doing is half-assing content on different platforms, and you really need to go all in on one platform. That's how I have 350,000 people in my group. I built my group up from zero. Like, truly in 2016, when I started that, it was me and my sister Rose. She was my first group member. She's been supporting me since day one. It makes me so happy. So you gotta focus on one platform at a time. My recommendation, by the way, in case you're wondering which platform you should be posting on, is Instagram. My friend Aaron, he last month took my advice. He got my passive income with Instagram course, followed it like it was the gospel of Maria Went, gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, this boy followed it like his eternal salvation was dependent on it. He did such a good job. And I want to tell you, I know he made $38,000. That I know. He made $38,000 in his first month. Yeah. And look, he has, oh shoot, it's kind of blurry. He has 60,000 followers. You can only, again, in a month, by following what I said, you can only get traffic at that level by following what I say and by focusing on one platform. And I recommend Instagram. So again, in case you're kind of curious to know what courses he followed of mine, he got the passive income with Instagram course, followed it to the freaking letter. And he got the ads course, followed it to the freaking letter. $38,000 and $60,000 in 1 month. I think it was like 45 days, but $38,000 and 60,000 followers in 45 days is nothing to sneeze at. Now, the thing I will give Aaron credit for is he followed what I said perfectly. So if you're going to do this and do your own plan, you're not going to see results like Aaron's. He was willing to just go all in and do what I said. So keep that in mind. Now, I think another important thing for you to know as we talk about traffic is, let me just turn off Instagram because I get so many notifications. It drives me crazy. This is really important for you to know as we talk about traffic. Two things. The more advanced you are, so the further along the scale you have, the lower your conversion rate because you've mastered marketing to your warm, like your hot audience. Then you've mastered marketing to your warm audience. Now you're mastering how to market to a cold audience. it's natural that your conversion is going to go down. That's really natural. So when I say the next bit of information, keep that in mind. We did over $400,000 last month in sales, like in cash collected. I took home 60% of that. I have a 60% profit margin, 63 if you want to be like really accurate. But I generated last month 200,000 checkout page views. That includes the coldest of traffic. So like my best performing conversion rate, my best performing checkout page is 25% conversion, meaning 1 in 4 visitors become a customer. On the furthest end with my coldest people that get a ton of traffic, it's like 1% or even lower, like 0.8%, I think. But we generate like 20,000 views to that page alone. So it's really big, really cold traffic. So that's a really big range, 25% conversion rate to like 0.8 or 0.9% conversion rate. Big range. But as a bird's eye view, so you understand the level of traffic we're generating, 200,000 page views, checkout page views, like literally the page to check out, 200,000 in 1 month. And you need to understand now, let's just say you're just kind of getting started on all of this and you're tapping into your warm audience. You don't need anywhere near that. You also probably aren't trying to go from $0 to $400,000 in 1 month, although I'm sure that would be nice and I welcome that for you. You probably understand that this is going to be a ramp up stage. So if you want to be like the most conservative you could ever be, let's just say you want to make, $40,000, just for easy math. Go generate 20,000 checkout page views. If you want to make $4,000, go generate 2,000 checkout page views. Again, my numbers are going to be the worst it could get because I have so much traffic. You could generate 2,000 checkout page views and get 500 customers. Okay. So it's like, again, it's totally dependent on your audience because likely, and the nice thing is if you've been selling high ticket, you have a ton of low hanging fruit that are just sitting there. So you launch a low ticket product, you're going to get a bunch of sales right away just because people who have wanted to buy from you couldn't afford your high ticket thing. There's 2 more things I want to share with you, 3 more things I want to share with you that I think are really important. And I think I need to work on how I say this because I think I come across as really, I hope I don't come across, but I worry that I come across as very arrogant when I say this because I have a low take rate, meaning very few people who hear this advice implement it. And it boggles my mind because in my opinion, it's the most important thing you can do if you want to make 7 figures with low ticket or with high ticket, frankly. And if you're making, so let's just say you're making less than $1 million a year. So you are working up to $1 million. So you have not made $1 million, making less than $1 million. You need to sell 1 product funnel. So just to be super clear here for my low ticket people, a product funnel is, if we go back to this order bump thing over here, I'll redraw because that's a little confusing, but it's your initial product. So let's just say that's $100 plus the upsells. Let's just say you have 4. This whole thing is your 1 product funnel. You are only going to sell 1 product funnel until you scale this product funnel to $1 million a year. If you are making less than $1 million, hear me loud and clear. If you are making less than $1 million a year and you try to launch multiple products, you will be creating for yourself a worse situation than your high ticket situation. And the reason for that is you will get stuck in low ticket hell, which is a ton of work spent on 2 to 3 low ticket products that never really go anywhere and never really take off. So all you did was like a ton of work for maybe $10,000. It sucks ass. Please do not do that. Your thought process has to be, here's my product funnel. I'm going to scale this 1 product funnel until it hits $1 million. It's the same advice I would give you, by the way, for your high ticket. I would say, pick a high ticket offer, scale that high ticket offer, do not launch anything else, do not offer anything else, do not have like upsells, downsells, midsells, meaning like you can join and get the VIP experience for $2,000 more. Don't do that. I lose my mind and I know I'm yelling like you're my toddler or something, but I hate it. because I want you so badly to win. I want you to win, and you're bogging yourself down with these multiple products. And I promise you, if you have been trying to hit $1 million and you haven't, this is the number one rule I see breaking. That and the repurposing thing, guys. Stop repurposing. Like, don't have a podcast and an Instagram. Have an Instagram or have a podcast. Don't have both. You got to do one product. You are going to forever struggle if you're trying, because now that I'm making more than $1 million, which leads me to the other half of this equation. If you're making more than $1 million a year, so if you're 1 million plus, totally feel free to add products as much or as little as you want to, because you know enough to kind of understand how much work goes into properly marketing one product. And that's what I was going to say is, like, I did not realize how to properly market one product to get it to $1 million. Now that I've done that several times over every year, right? I'm making $5 million a year now. So that's several product lines that we're scaling up. Now that I understand how much work it goes into properly marketing one product, the messaging, the follow-up, the automations, the scaling of the ads, the testing of the new creatives, the proper tagging, the proper segmentation, the proper downsell, the proper upsell, like, you don't understand the amount of work that goes into it. If you're going to do it right, you are not good enough yet as a marketer to do that for more than one product. Certainly, if you haven't even done it for one product yet. And I'm saying that with love and I'm saying that gently, but I promise you, if you trust me and will go all in on one product, whether it's high ticket or it's low ticket, you are going to see such a difference in your revenue, and you kind of burn your ship a little bit. You say, damn it, this is the one product that must take me to $1 million. I'm going all in. And it's a little scary. I had to do that. I committed, and I had my first $1 million run rate month. So I had my first $85,000 month. I think it was 6 months, 5 to 6 months after I went all in. So in November of 2019, I went all in on my one product, and I hit my first $85,000 month in May of 2020. And so I had my first $80,000 month. Next month was $100,000 months. And then I was stuck at $100,000 months for 4 years. If you've been in my world, you know how I talk about it all the time. I was making $100,000 a month for 4 years until I figured out how to scale. But it took me that long. It took me that long to figure out how to properly scale. And so once you're over $1 million, launch as many new product funnels as you can do properly. Now you have an understanding of how to do it properly. For reference, we can only do about 4 to 5 a year properly. 4 to 5 a year. And it's not even done properly. We probably, with true capacity and true proper marketing for each product, should do 3 a year, at most. We want to get up to 15 a year. That's our goal, is 15 a year. But we would probably have to double our team size, and there's just a lot that we would have to do. And so if Maria can really only properly do 3 a year, and I have endless capital in proportion to what I would spend, extreme talent that I attract, 11 years of experience myself, think long and hard before you decide to do 3 products as well. Because I can almost promise you what that's going to end up for you is being stuck in low ticket hell. And I don't want that for you, because what I want you to experience is the joy of low ticket, the flexibility of low ticket. I have no Zoom calls. I, one time, was on a podcast I was speaking for a mastermind friend of mine. So I was a guest at their mastermind. And I panicked because I hadn't been on Zoom in so long. I had to re-download it, what's it called where you update it. I had to update it. I had to get re-signed in, and I had thank God I tried to do it early. It was 15 minutes before this mastermind. But I am so off Zoom. It's old and broken when I try to get back on it. And that's the dream if you're running a high ticket business. Because when you're running a high ticket business, you have meetings every day, pretty much. If it's not a sales call, it's a client call. If it's not a client call, it's a managing the team who manages the client's call. It is a nightmare. And it's been at least a year since I've gone all in on the low ticket. And again, I don't think it's a coincidence. This is also the first year I broke my 100K month plateau after 4 years. Give yourself a year to fully pivot. Go slow. Think about this a little bit with delayed gratification. I'm going to take a year and I'm going to work towards this process. I want to show you 3 things that are going to help you with this process. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as you begin this whole process, there's 3 things that I've created that are going to be really helpful. The first is the Ads Are For Everyone course. It's how we run ads. We have, as a massive average, 3x return on ad spend. Sometimes it's 16, sometimes it's 20x. But as a general average, if we put $1 in, we get $3 out. That's foolproof. That's something we can count on. And it's very simple. Like we say here, like we keep it very simple. Rose and I are not that techie. Like we figured it out, but and more importantly, our students are seeing results from this right away, right? They're complete beginners. So I'm going to put this as a link in the bio. I highly recommend you look at this page. You look at what's included. We even share with you some of our sales pages so you can replicate it. We show you how we scale it profitably. And as Rose says here, this can be the trickiest part to figure out on your own. We had to pay something like $20,000 to have a marketing CMO guy come in our business and help us scale profitably. We did not know how to do this. So we had to pay a ton of money to figure out how to do this. And we show you what he taught us here. We talk about our $5 a day ad strategy. If you don't have a big ads budget, ads thing alone is a really good start to solve your traffic problem. The other thing, this is the course that my friend Aaron took, the one that I mentioned, who went from 0 Instagram followers to 60,000 followers in 45 days. And he's an extreme version, right? But let's just say you do a 6 of that and you get 10,000 Instagram followers. We are in this, and I say this on this page actually here, this is a very interesting time to have a little account on Instagram. It wasn't like this even 2 years ago. I don't even think it was like this a year ago. April 2024, so only a few months ago, they made a big algorithm update. And now if you have a little account, a small account, you have the option to blow up almost like you used to on TikTok. And it's super new. And not only that, it's extremely monetizable. And so Instagram has just been such a game changer for me and my students. Again, it helps solve the traffic problem. So you can see here, Reels and carousels equals traffic. Traffic equals sales. This is the big foundation of low ticket stuff, is you've got to have traffic, like we said in the video earlier. So this one I highly recommend. Again, look at the landing page. I recommend both. I mean, if I can just be really frank with you guys, like you might feel, if you further along, you're like, but shit, I don't have time to take a course. First of all, our courses are they're short and focused and practical. And you have time for this because if you take, let's just say 5 hours and you go through this course and this course, you take 5 hours and you do both in 5 hours. You can do both in about 5 hours. If you do that, and then you don't have to have weeks and weeks and weeks of Zoom calls, and your entire business fundamentally changes and you have all your time back, that's 5 hours well spent. So that's my pitch for that. I think you guys, it's up to you. I mean, you're sophisticated business owners. You know if it makes sense or not. These will help you solve your traffic problems. And then one last thing, the truth is you probably already kind of know what you want to offer as a low ticket thing. You probably are like, gosh, I could just take all these recordings I already have on my computer and just throw them all together. And you probably can. But what I would recommend you do is at least look at this one and see, is my product poised to go viral? Because there's a difference between collecting videos and having a video course and actually creating a popular digital product, a digital product that people actually want. And if you can get some of that viral momentum, which I've been really good at, I'm really, really good at like creating something when people see it, they have to have it, which is like a pretty damn necessary thing when you're doing low ticket, since you don't have those high touch points, you know, you're not hopping on sales calls and you're not doing DMs. People have to see your product and want it. And so I recommend you check this one out as well. You might not need this one if you're more advanced, but at least look at the what's included and see if that one makes sense for you as well. My thing for this one is if I take the time to package up, position, and frame up a product that people want, that's super worth it for me. That is time super well spent. Because then, like I said, like if you can make people who see this want it, it's just everything. You're going to be with momentum and going with the river, not against the river, not upstream. So long story short, I highly recommend these 3. If you're more concerned with just the traffic issues, I would recommend these 2. These are ones that are going to solve your traffic problem. But if you aren't feeling very confident in the product itself and you're like, you know what, Maria, just tell me what to do here as well, that's when you can look at it as well. I'm super excited for you. I'm a single mom. I have my kid literally 90% of the time. And so what that means is that I don't have a ton of time. Like this was somewhat born out of necessity and also desire. I want to spend time with her. Like I love that my low ticket business is so hands off. And I love that it's not requiring me to be hopping on Zoom calls all day long. That's a nightmare. We get to go to the beach. We get to go to Disneyland. We get to do all these fun things all day long because I took the time and I invested all this effort in the beginning of solve my traffic issues. And now I have a very thriving low ticket business. So I'm excited for you. I think it'll change your life too. If you have any questions, just let me know down in the comments and I will see you in the next video.